when I'm working with farmers and I'm helping whether they're selling a lot of livestock or whether they're homesteaders or new to farming or needing coaching, one of the biggest questions is how much meat should I get when I process a beef? When it comes to a steer, how much meat should I get back? Because I want to make sure that I'm getting as much as I can, and I want to make sure that I'm not getting cheated by the processor. And so that's one of the biggest questions: how much meat should I get from my steers? So I want us to think about, because over the years it's changed quite a bit. It used to be that people wanted to process an animal that was about 1,400 1,500 pounds live weight for a steer. That's changed quite a bit today. On average, more it's 1,200 to 1,300 pounds for a finished steer. So it's really, it's up to you on how you want to finish your animal out. But for our sake of our video here, I want us to look at a 1,200 pound live weight steer. So you fed this animal out, it's finished, you're checking it out to make sure that it's finished correctly, and you've got a 1,200 pound live weight animal that you're going to take into your processor to get slaughtered. And so the question is on that 1,200 pound animal, how much meat should I expect to get back? And some of it, there's a lot of variables that come into play with this. And so when we talk about slaughtering that animal, and we're going to, of course, get rid of the head and the hide and all of the guts and gutting it and all of that. And so then we come to something that we call carcass weight. And that's pretty much just the bones, the meat, the hanging carcass. And on a 1,200 pound animal, if you've got a decent yield, you got a pretty decent animal, you're going to look at a carcass weight that's going to be between 60 and 65% of your actual live weight. Okay, and of course this is all very important depending upon if you're selling your animal freezer beef or retail. It depends on you need to be able to make sure you understand that you're selling your meat correctly and how you're pricing it out, especially with freezer beef, whether you're selling a live weight or whether you're selling a carcass or hanging weight. So carcass weight should be 60 to 65%. Some of the best animals I see roughly are around 62% is a good yield on your animal. So on a 1,200 pound animal, a 62% yield is going to be a carcass weight of about 744 pounds. Okay, now there's a lot of variables that go into this, and it's important that you understand that. So when it comes to figuring this out, one of the first things is the breed of the animal. Depending upon the breed of the beef you have, whether it be a crossbred or Angus or Hereford or Simmental, whatever you have, those different animals will tend to have a little bit of fluctuation when it comes to carcass size. Holsteins are going to be it's a dairy cow, but if you're going to process that for meat, that animal is a lot taller and a lot more bone, but not as muscly and not as much meat on that. So there's a lot that goes in with the breed. So if you're going into that, you want to make sure, if you're going into selling livestock or meat, a meat producer, really look into what kind of breed you're using. That's important. Then it's a matter of what you're feeding that animal also very much plays into this thing. Whether it's going to be a grain finished animal or whether it is a grass fed animal can come into play on your yield, very much so. Then of course the muscle structure, the grade of the animal, the fat of the animal. When you're looking at how much fat the animal has, that's going to play a role in how much yield you have on your carcass weight. Okay, so also, of course, when it comes to when you get your cuts, whether you go bone in or boneless is going to make a difference in how much meat, the weight of the meat that you get back. All right, so we're talking about a 1,200 pound animal live weight. 62%, you're going to end up with 744 pound carcass weight, hanging weight. Now on 744 pounds of hanging weight, how much meat should I expect to get back once you take off that fat, you debone things? What should I be looking at? And a good estimate is about 55 to 62, 63% of your actual carcass weight. Okay, so 55 to 62% of the carcass weight is what you should expect to probably get back in meat. So let's take our example of a 1,200 pound animal live weight, and now we've got a hanging weight of 744 pounds, and that's going to leave us estimated about 455 pounds of meat that will be going into your freezer. Okay, now again, based upon all of these variables, so there's room in there in this thing. Now of course, some of the things, one of the other variables is also your processor. At the end of the day, the skill of your processor, how they cut, how they trim, how closely, those type things will also affect some of that. So it's important that you talk to your processor and make sure you get those things answered as well when it comes to it. So it's good to make sure that they are skilled as well, and most of them will be. So 455 pounds of meat from this 1,200 pound animal, and it's good to have reasonable expectations and understand. Otherwise, if you're expecting a lot more, it's going to be a bad deal for you and for the processor, or for your customers if you're selling meat, freezer beef meat. Okay, now inside of that, what can we expect that meat to be broken down as? And again, very different for each animal, but if we want to try to play it safe and have an estimate, an average, you're probably going to have 170 to 190 pounds of ground beef. If you're doing just kind of a regular cutting instruction and just getting basic cuts, you're going to be at 170 to 190 pounds of ground beef. You're probably going to have around 80 pounds of rib and loin steaks. Those are some of your best steaks, of course, those middle meats. And so again, there's some room inside of that, but that's a ballpark average. Around 140 pounds of chuck and round roast. So your roast meat will be good there for that, about 140 pounds. And then about 60 pounds of your other miscellaneous cuts and other items, skirt steaks or things like that, that you can put in there depending upon what you want. So just want you to be aware of how much meat you should probably get and the breakdown of that. And of course, again, depending upon what processor you go to, your cutting instructions and all these other variables, that may change a little bit. But this is something, it's important for you as a producer to know these things, and it's important for you to help your customers. It really affects your bottom line. So this is some very important information for you on how much meat you should expect to get. If I help a lot of farmers with this in my consulting and coaching, if I can help you with it, be sure and reach out to me, and I'll be glad to help you with it. Take care.